The PS4 Pro has been announced. Nintendo randomly unveils a new Mario game for mobile. Apple announces the iPhone 7, and where the heck is the NX? We talk about all this and more on today's episode of the Nin-Cast.
Hey everyone, this is Logan589XP, and today, oh boy, it was a big day for announcements. Not quite NX, we'll get to that later though, because there actually is some super small NX news, nothing really worth mentioning, but I'm going to throw it in there at the end anyway. So yeah, today was the day for two big conferences, the PS4 conference and the Apple event, and we got quite a few surprises from both. But first things first, I want to do a few updates on things. Once again, sorry for another Nin-Cast video, if that's getting annoying. I mean, I don't upload videos like every day or anything, but it's like I want to do more than just this, but I'm just limited right now. I don't have a capture card. I don't want to record videos off my phone, really, because it's just so... oh, maybe I'll get the iPhone 6. We'll talk about that. Point is, like, I don't know. I have some other videos that are pretty much all but done. I just haven't uploaded them. Like, on Twitter, I announced a series called Zelda Logic, in case anyone's curious. I have that video, I just have to edit it. I have the entire video recorded, I just need to add the sound effects, and then I can upload it. I cannot guarantee if they'll ever be uploaded, though. It'll probably end up being like the Tetsuya Vlog Part 2 video, where I don't upload it for like 2 or 3 months, and then I'll finally upload it, so... yeah, but I do have other videos I want to do, including, and this is something for much later on, but eventually I would like to make my own like Nintendo Direct of sorts. Like, I already have a logo, I got some backdrops, I got some animations, I got like most of it there. I just need to get like a green screen or something like that so I can like have like the white background, unless I really want to just like stand in front of like my white wall or something like that and have like a billboard in the back. I don't know. But I have some ideas for potential Nintendo Directs, or I guess, well, they'd be Logan589XP Directs. they'd be pretty fun to do, and I would rather do like make my own like Direct than do just a standard like, hey, a video update type thing, because isn't that just kind of boring, staring at an image or just staring at my face while I talk for 20 minutes? Wouldn't it be more fun to just do a Direct? We have like transitions and animations and videos all over the place. I rather, like, that's what I actually legit would like to do. I'd like to make my own Nintendo Direct and have that be like a regular thing for like every once in a while, because it's fairly easy to do, and I could probably make a fairly decent one that looks pretty accurate for what I can work with. But that's, of course, in the future. I got other plans to do, but that's what I'd like to do at some point. Make my own like Nintendo Direct or something like that. Anyways, let's get on to the topics. First things first, let's talk about, let's go in order actually from when they were announced. Let's talk about the iPhone 7 Apple's event. Unfortunately, I was not able to watch most of it. I was only able to watch the first 5 minutes, so I didn't really get to see anything. But I did look up the iPhone 7 on their website, different things about it, and it's about what I expected because it was kind of leaked, like, you know, the whole 2-camera design. But ultimately, it's really just all it was fine. Nothing super groundbreaking, but that's fine with me. I don't need a super groundbreaking phone. I just want a phone that does the things I want to do. And that's why my iPhone 6 has been perfectly fine for almost 2 years now. And it's probably because I don't really play games on my phone. Although we'll talk about a game that I will be playing on my phone later in the video that you can already see on the screen. And yeah. So the iPhone 7, you know, what's surprising about the iPhone 7 is that it has the exact same design as the 6 and the 6S, which is weird because normally every generation, like every big generation of iPhone, not like the S models, but like the new numbered iPhones always have a new design. Not this time around. The iPhone 2G to the 3G was a different design. The iPhone 3G to the 4 was a new design. The iPhone 4 to the 5 was a new design. 5 to 6 was a new design. But 6 to 7, the design is exactly the same, with a few tiny differences. First is, of course, the dual cameras, which is pretty cool, and I will definitely be taking advantage of that. And is by far the biggest thing that they talked about was the dual cameras. That was kind of leaked earlier, but I think it looks pretty cool, and has some neat functionality I want to try out. Also, of course, the iPhone 7 has the 3D touch capabilities that the 6S has, and I've never gotten to try touch, what's it called, 3D touch? Yeah, I haven't gotten to try that yet. But hey, it's going to be on the iPhone 7, of course, just like it was on the 6S, so I'm going to be able to try that out finally. Aside from that, it's just kind of the standard, you know, better processor. It's got the A10 processor, you know. They announced a new series of Apple Watch, Series 2, and there's also another Apple Watch-related announcement I'll talk about later. Talked about apps to iOS 10. I didn't catch most of it. I just know about the iPhone 7, but the iPhone 7... Oh, and the biggest thing, actually, for the iPhone 7, aside from the dual cameras, is I think the new color option. And it's in the screenshot right now, is the jet black color. It's a new color they're adding, and I think it looks awesome. When I do upgrade to the iPhone 7 Plus, because I do intend to get the Plus one, because that's a 1080p screen, the optical image stabilization, I can watch videos in 1080p, etc. Like, it's just a bigger screen, I can play games on it better, you know, I want the Plus. But I want to get the jet black one because it looks really slick and, I don't know, it just looks really nice. It looks really nice. And I actually got the gold iPhone 6 because, well, it was the gold one, and I still like the gold one, but I think it would be better if it was just all black, and I think it would work better. Unfortunately, I have to buy a new phone case, but whatever, 15 bucks, whoopity-doo. 15 bucks or less for a phone case, big deal. You can already pre-order phone cases, actually, for them. But anyways, yeah, the iPhone 7, 7 Plus, about what I expected. Nothing huge, but they do have some improvements that I do care about, like the improved camera. I get to try out 3D touch for the first time. There's other things. But the biggest announcement from the entire event was, surprisingly, I didn't even know about this because I was stuck in class. I wasn't able to watch it. But apparently, like Miyamoto was in the audience, and I didn't notice that. I swear, I might have noticed him, but I didn't notice it. I think I actually do remember seeing him in the crowd, but I don't think I noticed him then. But basically, yeah, Miyamoto and Bill, like, were in the crowd. They're, like, sitting there in the crowd. And then randomly, like, Tim Cook is, like, talking about how the App Store is, like, huge, it's got a ton of sales, it's very successful, but he's like, but there's one character that has yet to make the jump to mobile. And now he will. And then they show a clip of this new game, Super Mario Run. And then they're like, and from Nintendo, here comes Shigeru Miyamoto! And like him and Bill Trenton come on the stage for like 5 to 10 minutes talking about the game. And yeah, that's what the game is called, Super Mario Run. It's essentially Nintendo's version of an endless runner, although it's not really an endless runner, because it actually ends. And by that I mean, like, there's actually a goal. Like, you know, it has the standard flagpoles and stuff like that. From what I've seen of the game, it looks actually pretty interesting and could be one of the first mobile games that will actually play on a regular basis because, well, it's a Mario game on iOS. So, yeah, the game, basically, yeah, it's, basically, they advertise that you can play Mario with one hand. Whoopity-doo, I guess, but it's cool and all. There's a mode, there's like a Toad battle mode where you can, like, play with other people online. I think it will have My Nintendo functionality. They did not talk about that during the event because it's probably, it's an Apple event. Overall, yeah, it's a pretty interesting game, I would say. Go search it up, Super Mario Run. There's a trailer out. Game Explains uploaded it. The official Nintendo mobile account uploaded it. Like, you know, it's pretty easy to find. It's not super complex. It's basically New Super Mario Bros. U, but you just press the jump button. But that still looks interesting to me, and in those new game modes they're going to be adding. Also, and this is something huge, and I have to commend Nintendo for this, thank you for not putting microtransactions in your game. Well, at least nothing major I know of, because according to them, and Bill and Miyamoto talked about this on stage, but basically, the game is going to have a set price. It's not going to be like free to play or 99 cents. It's going to have a set fixed price. Like probably, I'm guessing like $5, $3, $3 to $5. I'm guessing something like that. And you get the full game. There's no microtransactions. There's no in-app purchases, as far as I know, at least. Nothing like that. You get the full game. They might have cosmetic like stuff, but the actual game, you'll get the full game itself for like a set price. And that's awesome, because one thing that a lot of people, including me, hate about mobile games is all the microtransactions. There's not any. There are some full games on there. Like, I think like Final Fantasy VII recently got an iOS port. There's other games like the GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. Those are also on iOS. Like, there are some console games on there that you can use like a Bluetooth controller that I do want to get, by the way. But most games, the games that make the most money are like the microtransaction games like Candy Crush, Clash of Clans, stuff like that. So it's nice to see a full game actually getting released from a major company that will have little to no microtransactions, maybe just cosmetic stuff, but that's about it. But there's not going to be like DLC courses or anything like that, unless they decide to add that later, but I don't think they will. Anyways, yeah, the game definitely looks interesting. It's coming out in December. Also, is a iOS timed exclusive, which, yay for me, because I have an iPhone, so I'll be able to play it on launch day. But it is an iOS timed exclusive. It will be coming to Android, though. It's coming to Android in 2017. There's no date yet, but Miyamoto did say it will come to Android in 2017. So don't worry, all you people who have Android. So yeah, that was like the big thing about the event. But now, okay, so aside from that, there wasn't really that much else in the Apple event I really pay attention to. But that was the big thing. Super Mario Run, just out of nowhere. No one expected Nintendo to announce a mobile game at Apple's event. No one expected. That was a complete surprise. Completely surprising. Okay, now let's talk about the big event of the day, at least for a lot of people, including me, and that is the PlayStation Conference. Or as, well, PlayStation themselves, or Sony calls it, the PlayStation Meeting 2016 in New York. And a lot of people are complaining that the conference was really boring. I didn't find it boring at all. And that's probably because I care about all these technical details. I care about all these like little technical details, and not a lot of people do. But I do, and so I didn't find the conference boring like everyone else did, apparently. Everyone was like, oh, it's so boring. It's so boring. It's putting me to sleep. I never found it boring. I don't get why everyone thought it was boring. Basically, what's that guy's name? He's the guy that always is at the E3 press conferences. I think he's from like France. Could be wrong now. I don't remember his name. I don't remember his name, but yeah, what was his name? I'm not remember. Whatever. So basically, the guys normally at E3 will just call him that guy because I don't remember his name. He came up here, presented PlayStation, talked about the growth of the PlayStation brand, of the PlayStation 4 in general, and then he talked about the expansion of PlayStation, and then, of course, he talked about the PlayStation 4 Slim, which was already leaked. In fact, the screenshot you're seeing of the PlayStation 4 Slim is, in fact, one of the leaked screenshots. I could not find an official screenshot on Bing Images, so I just went with the leaked screenshot, and it's the same. It's the official thing. That's just like the leaked box art or whatever. So yeah, that's coming out. It's coming out, I believe, September 15th. So in about a week from now, and it's gonna be $300. And I believe it's gonna have a 1 terabyte hard drive. I could be wrong. I think it's a 1 terabyte hard drive by default, not 500 gigs. Could be wrong though. It might be. I think it's 1 terabyte, unless I'm confusing that with the Pro. But we'll talk about that later. And then he started to talk about 4K and high dynamic range, or HDR, which is a feature on 4K TVs that makes the colors a lot more realistic and vivid and stuff like that, I think. Well, not think. I know that, and that's what it is. And then, of course, he dropped the bombshell we were all waiting for. The PS4 Neo officially revealed. What's the name? PS4 Pro. That's it. A lot of people like the Neo name better, so considering they just called it the Pro, which I don't really have a problem with, but I definitely liked the Neo. It sounded more powerful and stuff like that, than just the Pro. Well, we better stop getting attached to the NX as a name, because once Nintendo reveals what it actually is, it's going to have a way boringer name than the Scorpio as well, but we'll talk about that stuff later. So yeah, the PS4 Pro is, well, nothing really surprising. You just kind of talked about stuff we already knew about. 4.2 teraflops. It's going to have AMD Polaris architecture, which is actually pretty interesting because I think the Xbox Scorpio is probably going to use that as well. At least I would think they would. But yeah, it's going to use AMD Polaris. I don't know if it's the 10 or 11 series, because I know there's two different series of AMD Polaris. The 10 series is the one that's used in the graphics cards, the RX 480, 470, 460, and then Polaris 11 is the one that's used in laptops and stuff, I think, and APUs. So I think that they're using Polaris 11 in the PS4 Pro. Of course, it's going to have compatibility with all PS4 games, and the big thing, of course, is that certain PS4 games are going to be patched. Like Black Ops 3 is going to be getting a PS4 Pro patch that allow it to have better visuals, better frame rate. It'll support 4K. Infinite Warfare, Modern Warfare Remastered was on there. There's some first-party games like Uncharted 4. I believe Infamous Second Son was on there. Horizon Zero Dawn was on there. There was a few other games. I know there's some games at E3 they announced would be compatible. I think God of War is on there. I could be wrong. There's a list of all the games that have been announced to have PS4 Pro compatibility. Well, not compatibility, but boosts. If you basically better on PS4 Pro. There's a list, I believe, on the official website or on Polygon or something like that. That has a list for all that stuff. For some reason, Battlefield 1 was not on that list, and I find that really weird because Battlefield 1 is a game that needs it. Battlefield 1 right now in consoles struggles. Even if we don't count the Xbox One version, the PS4 version still is only 900p and doesn't hit 60 FPS that often. It's more in the 50s and 40s. So I'm surprised that wasn't on there. I'm hoping it runs better. If it doesn't go to 1080p, it should at least be able to hit 60 FPS, I would hope. But I'm sure that if that wasn't announced now, I'm sure that DICE has optimized the game for PS4 Pro, and it will hit 1080p 60 FPS on the PS4 Pro. I hope so. I hope it does. And of course, for the Xbox Scorpio as well, when that comes out next year. Anyways, so yeah, games have been announced that will be optimized for PS4 Pro. There's not a huge list right now, but of course it's going to expand as the system continues in its life cycle and stuff like that. And of course, all future games are going to be optimized for the system. But PSVR is of course going to be better on the PS4 Pro. It's going to have better resolution. It's going to have a smoother frame rate, all that stuff. That's the main thing about the PS4 Pro. That's the main advantage. Is that it boils down to three things: better graphics, better resolution, and better frame rate. Those are the three reasons you buy a PS4 Pro. As someone that doesn't own a PS4 right now, this sounds awesome because I deliberately didn't get a PS4. I was going to get one in March or April, but I deliberately skipped that because once the Neo rumors hit, I'm like, well, I'm not going to buy a PS4. I'm going to wait until the more powerful one comes out. And I'm definitely glad I am because even if the games aren't really 4K, because they might be. Yeah, we'll talk about that later because there is some controversy involving that. But whether or not the games are actually 4K or not doesn't really matter because they definitely advertised how even if you don't have a 4K TV, you can still enjoy the benefits of the PS4 Pro's better hardware. Because basically it'll downscale 4K to 1080p, or developers can just make the game a straight 1080p with no scaling whatsoever, just native 1080p. And then, of course, they can jack up the graphics settings and the anti-aliasing and the lighting and all kinds of stuff, which is what I personally want. And in shooters, it's going to definitely be a thing. Like Black Ops 3, Infinite Warfare, Modern Warfare Remastered, Battlefield 1, and other shooters, those are definitely going to be 1080p. They're not going to be 4K. There's no way they're going to go for 4K, because shooters rely on 60 FPS or higher. There's no way they're going to do 4K for a shooter, especially Call of Duty and Battlefield, because those are two of the most popular shooters out there. There's no way they're going to chop that frame rate to 30 just to get 4K. So chances are that they're just going to increase the graphics and all that stuff. Basically, just max the settings, so to speak, I guess, in games at 1080p, which is what I think most developers are going to do anyway, because most people don't have a 4K TV. I don't have a 4K TV yet. I'll probably get one when the Xbox Scorpio comes out next year, because the Scorpio is going to be able to run games at native 4K. and not upscaled. Like, because the PS4 Pro, like, they keep saying it's going to be 4K, but even on their website, there's like a little annotation that says it's upscaled 4K. So the PS4 Pro, as far as we know, from what we've seen so far, there's not a single game that runs at native 4K. There might be upscaled 4K, or there might be 1440p or something like that upscaled to 4K, but it's not native 4K. However, we do know that the Scorpio will be capable of 4K at least 30 FPS. Microsoft is claiming it can hit 60, but I'm going to have to see that for myself. I think it is possible if they lower the settings, which is what I think they're going to do. Or they're going to have the same thing as the PS4 Pro, where they're going to, like, developers are going on the Scorpio and the Pro, developers can, like, they're not required to make their games 4K. They can make them however the heck they want. And once again, I still think that most developers, even on the Scorpio, are going to opt for a lower resolution with higher graphics settings. However, I definitely know that it's possible for them to get 4K 60 FPS and have the game still look good. Because the Scorpio is... Phil Spencer actually said the Scorpio is going to have the power of a GTX 980, which actually is pretty good for a console. I mean, the 980 is still a pretty good card even to this day. But the thing I'm worried about is, it might still be a good card now, but this is September 2016 now. It's not coming out until November 2017. The card is going to be outdated by then. The GTX 11 series might be out by then. AMD Vega will be out by then. Like there's going to be better, more powerful graphics cards by then. So it's like, yeah. I still think it'll be fine because Battlefield, let's take Battlefield 1 for example, a game that struggles on both the Xbox One and the PS4. As someone that's played the Xbox One beta of Battlefield 1, oh my god, it is so blurry. It is the blurriest game I've probably ever played aside from Pokken Tournament. And if you've played the Pokken Tournament, if you played Pokken Tournament on the Wii U, I have the demo. I might get the full game if I have someone that'll play with it with me. Well, if one of my friends gets some Pokken Tournament, I'll get Pokken Tournament. But anyways, point is, if you've ever played Pokken Tournament on the Wii U, the resolution is straight up blurry. It is really blurry. It runs at like 540p. I'm not even joking. I think I saw on a Digital Foundry video, it runs at like 640 by 556 or something, like really low like that, like somewhere between 480p and 720p, and it still can't hit a solid 60 FPS. And I don't understand why, because Smash Bros. On Wii U, Palutena's Temple, Rosalina and Luma, with technically 16 characters on the screen, with items all over the place, all that stuff. 1080p, 60 FPS, no frame drops. But Pokken Tournament in a one-on-one fighting game that's running at 540p or 600p or something like that can't hold 60 FPS? What kind of logic is that? How does Smash Bros. With way more stuff on the screen in a higher resolution have a more solid frame rate than Pokken Tournament? Hopefully Pokken Tournament gets ported to the NX and we can play it at 1080p 60 FPS. And I wouldn't be surprised if they did that, or maybe they did, maybe they'll do like Pokken Tournament 2 or something like that. Okay, well, enough about that. Let's move up back to the PS4 Pro and stuff like that. So Battlefield 1 on the Xbox One is the resolution's it's 720p, but 720p isn't even the problem. I've noticed because I've played the PC beta. 720p with no anti-aliasing is a lot sharper than 720p with anti-aliasing. That might sound really weird to some people, but resolutions that low in the kind of anti-aliasing that Battlefield 1 uses, it's a night and day difference. It's basically, do you want it to be super blurry or do you want it to be super pixelated? Pick your poison, I guess. But the Neo and the Scorpio should be able to handle Battlefield 1 at 1080p 60 FPS. No problem. And especially the Scorpio, because the Scorpio is going to have a 6 teraflop GPU, once again a GTX 980. And here's the thing I'm talking about with the 4K. I've seen people that can run Battlefield 1 at 4K 60 FPS on a GTX 970. This isn't the 980, the 980 Ti, the 1070, the 1060, the 1080. No, this is a 970 with that whole 3.5 gigabyte RAM issue and all that stuff, and the fact that it's a card from 2014. If you put the settings too low, you can hit 60 FPS pretty much all the time, with only mild dips into like it's like 55 or like 50 something, but like it doesn't go lower than that. It's mostly 60 FPS and above. Now yes, it's low settings, but here's the thing though. Battlefield 1 is a Frostbite game, and Frostbite, well, at least a modern, like, Battlefront, starting with Battlefront. Battlefront and Battlefield 1 on low settings still look really, really, really good. Especially Battlefront. Battlefront just looks really nice. Like, a Hoth and Tatooine just look amazing, even at low settings, because Frostbite is very well optimized, and I guess they can just get rid of stuff that you can't really see that won't affect the visual quality that much. At least from what I've seen on videos, the quality is very similar. Although there is a difference between the biggest difference between settings is definitely between low and medium. But even then, low still looks pretty good on Battlefront. It still looks pretty good on Battlefield 1. All the effects are still in there. The rain, the weapon, like the effects on the guns, like all that stuff is still there. It still looks very good. The biggest difference, at least from what I've noticed, is pop-in. That's the biggest difference between low and the other settings. But aside from that, it looks pretty good. And of course, consoles have, optimization on their side, so they could probably, if they can squeeze in medium settings, because I mean, that's a GTX 970 I'm talking about. The Scorpio is going to have the equivalent of a 980, which is more powerful, of course. So they could probably hit 4K medium settings at 60 FPS for Battlefield 1. Maybe, if they want to, but I think they're still going to go for 1080p and just max the settings, which is what I would prefer anyway, because most people have a 1080p TV, and we can all agree that we'd rather have higher graphics settings and resolution higher graphics settings and frame rate over the resolution. So, yeah. 4K, the Scorpio can definitely do it. The Pro, probably not. I mean, just based off of the specs and comparing them to the Neo, comparing them to the Scorpio, the Pro could probably do 4K, but I don't think it will hit native 4K. I remember Digital Foundry made a video comparing it as a slightly a resolution that's above 1440p but lower than 4K that would look really good upscaled, and it could hit a solid 30 FPS at least. But anyways, so what were we talking about again? So yeah, I kind of got distracted, so I had to cut a clip out. So yeah, basically, there are games like Battlefield 1, which is a demanding Frostbite running game, which is traditionally very demanding, especially on consoles. It could hit 4K 60 FPS on the Scorpio. I don't think it could hit that on the Neo. I have to get used to calling it the Pro. I'm so used to calling it the Neo, not the whatever. The Pro will probably hit 1440p or a resolution something like that, 1080p to 1440, probably 1440p, and then they'll just downscale to 1080p and upscale it to 4K depending on the TV you have. But ultimately, I think the developers and people would rather just have, once again, the higher graphics settings and frame rate over how many pixels are on the screen. However, I'm not saying that doesn't mean developers can't do this. You know what would be a good idea? How about put in graphics options? I know that a lot of console players probably wouldn't like that because it kind of defeats the purpose of console gaming because it's basically just a PC at that point. But this isn't unknown. The Division is a recent game that actually included small graphics options. The Battlefield 1 beta included an option to adjust the FOV setting, which isn't really a graphics setting, but it's still a pretty neat setting that I've been wanting in a console shooter for a long time, by the way. And there is a PS4 game out there that does have a setting like this. It has a mode where you can switch between 720/60 and 1080/30. 1080p 30 has higher graphics settings, but 720p 60 mode has lower graphics settings, but of course has the higher frame rate. So basically, you can pick. So that's what I think they're gonna do with the Pro and Scorpio. At least that's what I hope they do. So maybe it could be let's say I don't know, Halo 6. We'll just go with that, I guess. If for some reason you wanted to play Halo 6 at 4K, but you have to sacrifice detail and the frame rate, then yeah, maybe you could run it at 4K. Actually, no. If Battlefield 1 can run at 4K 60, then okay, no, that doesn't. Okay, that's not a good example. Okay, Red Dead Redemption 2. That's a better example. Okay, let's say Red Dead Redemption 2. You can run it at 4K, but at 30 FPS with lower graphics settings but higher resolution. Or you could play at 1080p with the graphics maxed out and a higher frame rate. So depending on the TV you have, you can get that experience, or you can just switch it on the fly. Okay, maybe that sounded all confusing, but basically it's like you can switch between 4K medium and 1080p ultra on the fly, because they have something like that on the PS4 right now, where you can go from 720p medium 60 FPS to 1080p high 30 FPS or something like that. But it would be the reverse, because 4K would have a higher resolution, but it would have less graphics settings in order to retain at least 30 FPS, even on the Scorpio. Depends on the game, though. I would think that more like shooters and stuff, they would probably reduce the graphics settings more to hit that 60 FPS, but I don't know. It's up to the developer whether they want to make the game 4K or not, and I don't really care about 4K right now. Once again, I'll probably get a 4K TV once the Scorpio does come out, or if the NX supports 4K in any capacity, then maybe I'll get one. But anyways, so yeah, the PS4 Pro, yeah, the games don't display natively at 4K. They're upscaled, but they still look really nice, I guess. And of course, if you have a 1080p TV like I do, then you get the higher graphical settings, higher frame rate, and it'll be downscaled to 1080p, all that stuff. Also, let's talk about some of the controversial things then. First is the design. I've seen a lot of people say it looks like a hamburger because there's different layers and stuff. It doesn't really bother me, but I can definitely see the problem with that. Also, this is actually kind of a legit complaint. There's no 4K Blu-ray disc drive. I don't know why there isn't, because the Xbox One S has that. And that's the Xbox One S. That's not the Scorpio. This isn't the new 6 teraflop console with the highest quality pixels or anything like that. It's the Xbox One S, the slim version of the original. That has 4K, 60 FPS, 4K Blu-ray streaming. And on Blu-ray. Why doesn't the PS4 Pro have this? And it costs more, and it's the more powerful console. It's going to be, up until the Scorpio launches, it's going to be the most powerful console. So, what's up with that, Sony? Why not include that? You keep hyping up 4K, 4K high definition range, 4K high definition range. Well, why not put in a 4K Blu-ray disc drive when your competitor is doing it, and at a lower price? And it's not even the Scorpio. It's not even the Scorpio. If this was the Scorpio, that would be one thing. But this isn't even the Scorpio. The Xbox One S, the slim version of the original, has it, let alone the Scorpio. There's no reason why the PS4 Pro shouldn't have it. Now, to be fair, there's not a ton of games. There's not a ton of games. There's not a ton of movies out there right now that are they're on 4K Blu-ray. But it's more of a future-proof type thing where years down the line you'll be able to watch more 4K Blu-rays. But I guess you can just go out there and buy a 4K Blu-ray player if you really want it, or you can just use 1080p upscale for Blu-rays and it would probably still look fine. Also, this isn't just a thing where they can patch it later, because it's a disc drive. This is a disc drive thing. This isn't a software thing where they can just update it to use 4K. No, the system is going to ship with a regular HD Blu-ray drive. It's not a 4K one. So Sony can't patch it. So that means Blu-ray is stuck at 1080p on the PS4 Pro, unless they make a revision at some point, which I wouldn't be surprised if they did. A PS4 Pro Slim or something like that. But, yeah. Once again, it doesn't really affect me because 1080p Blu-ray is already really good as it is. I don't really need 4K Blu-ray. But that definitely should still be included because, come on, the Xbox One S has it, let alone the Scorpio. There's no reason for that to not. And what's funny is that Microsoft has actually been taking jabs at Sony for doing that, because they've been hey, buy this because the Xbox One S has real 4K Blu-ray, come buy it now, and they've been taking little jabs at Sony not having 4K Blu-ray on the PS4 Pro. Kind of find that funny. So, yeah, the PS4 Pro, a lot of people have problems with it, but I think it's actually pretty cool. I'm going to be probably getting one. Not anytime soon. It's coming out November 10th. By the way, it's going to be $400 in the US, which is about what I expected, although I kind of expected it to be a little more, to be honest. But $400 is pretty solid for a device that can do 1080p, 1440p gaming, and maybe 4K if we really crank down the settings, or you do it's indie games or something like that, or ports of old games from the PS2 or whatever. I wouldn't be surprised if they do Like, you know that Crash Bandicoot collection that's coming out, the Crash Bandicoot remake? That's a game that could probably run at 4K, because Crash Bandicoot's not a very demanding game. It has, like, it's a cartoony art style, so it's not really as demanding as, say, Uncharted 4. So, I'm pretty sure the Crash Bandicoot remakes, they could probably hit 4K. At least 1440p, but I think they could probably hit 4K because of the simplicity of the games. It doesn't look bad. That doesn't mean it's bad. I mean, I love Wind Waker, and that game is a very simplistic art style. But, like, the game is just, it's not very, like, detailed. It doesn't have, like, super high quality textures. It's, like, a very cartoony art style. So they could probably hit 4K on that. But aside from games like Crash Bandicoot or whatever, and indie games, I don't think a lot of major big games could really hit 4K. But hey, if I want them to, if they can surprise me, then hey, yeah, but they could surprise me. Who knows? Maybe Battlefield 1 really will run at 4K on the thing. Maybe Infinite Warfare will run at 4K. Maybe Uncharted 4 really will run at native 4K. We don't know yet. All we've seen is compressed footage off of a Twitch stream. We haven't seen the console for ourselves yet. We haven't seen raw, uncompressed footage yet. So we won't know until it actually comes out on November 10th. But either way, I'm definitely excited for it. I don't have a PS4 yet, so I don't really have any reason to be mad at Sony because I bought a PS4, now it's outdated because you announced this new one. I don't have a PS4 yet. I deliberately waited for the Neo to come out. Now that the Pro is officially the Neo and it's coming out, then I'm just gonna wait for that. But I'm not gonna be getting it until next year because one, I want to get my graphics card, which is gonna be a GTX 1070, most likely the MSI Gaming X model. It's still $450 though, which is more than the Pro, but of course it's going to wipe the floor with the Pro in terms of performance. I mean, the GTX 1070 can do some real 4K gaming at good settings. And of course, you know, higher frame rates, all that stuff. So of course, like, my computer's going to wipe the floor with the Pro and the Scorpio anyway, but you know, obviously the graphics card's more important than getting a new console. And then, of course, the second I get the graphics card, I'm going to have to worry about getting the NX on day one, which is coming out in March. So that's $300 that I cannot dedicate to. It's like that's money I cannot dedicate towards the Pro, the PS4 Pro. So I'll probably end up getting the PS4 Pro in like holiday 20. Oh wait, no, I can't do that because the Scorpio is going to be coming out. I think I might just wait until Ni no Kuni 2 comes out because that's the biggest reason I want a PS4 is for Ni no Kuni 2, and if they announce a new Yokai Watch game. I think it's unlikely, but who knows? Level 5 is definitely probably open to the idea considering how well Yokai Watch is done in Japan alone, and it's gaining ground in the US. But Ni no Kuni 2 is the biggest reason why, because I know for a fact that game is never coming to the Xbox One. There's no way in heck that's coming to the Xbox One. And there's no way it's coming to PC, so I have to get a PS4 to play that game. But if I get a PS4, I want the better model. I'm not going to spend less to get a lesser model. I want the top of the line PS4 here. So whenever I do get it, it'll probably be in 2017, maybe. I'll probably just wait until Ni no Kuni 2 comes out in the US, because I think it's going to come out in Japan next year, which of course means we're going to have to wait even longer for it to come out in the US, maybe like 2018. So I'll probably be waiting on the PS4 Pro for a while, but who knows. But yeah, getting a GTX 1070 and getting the NX are definitely more important to me than getting a PS4 Pro. But I definitely am interested in it, and I do want to get it at some point. So I guess that's really all I have to say. So what are your thoughts on today's announcements? Do you like? What do you think about the iPhone 7, Super Mario Run, or the PS4 Pro and Slim? Because I'd definitely be interested to see what you guys have to say. And with that being said, this is Logan589XP, signing out. I'll see you guys next time.